Spook,
Yes.
you don't see yourself tonight.
I don't know, Sly. I think all these injuries are getting to me.
Well, what's wrong?
Well, I'm feeling a bit deflated.
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am extremely angry, Sly.
I am rehydrated, reinflated, reinvigorated. I'm talking shit. Spoke!
And we're coming to you following the loss to Premiership favourites, reigning premiers, Richmond.
I promised my mum on the show that I'd never use the C word, but it was a Collingwood of a loss.
Alright, so what were your thoughts about the game?
Fuck.
Could you elaborate a little?
Fuck. Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get to the injury stuff, but yeah, you
stuff
go.
later. Alright, so I'm not going to take credit away from Richmond. They were cleaner, they were more efficient, they were crisper.
No, Chris was with us.
Yeah. The big problem for mine was we were very scrappy, too much fumbling, too many clangers.
Over handballing.
There was times it was handball, just boot the shit out of it. Maybe the first guy should just booted the shit out of it before numbers got back.
Ever diminishing circles.
Yep. Lacks composure from most players. So, I think we also had a few guys that, were probably, it seems a bit unfair, but not quite ready to be at that standard. They did some nice things, they came out. But in the end, Richmond were just better than us. But having said that, when I watched that game, I was thinking, Richmond to me is basically about the best they're playing. That's the best they're going to get. We have a ton of improvement in terms of players who could come in and improvement in efficiency, disposal, and all that sort of stuff. So I thought we had a lot of upside, but it was still a really frustrating loss because I thought it was there to be won, and we didn't take our opportunities. And whenever we did get close, we just let them get a really easy goal. Back the other way.
Yeah, no, as I said to you before, I reckon there's about 5 or 6 times where we're just on the cusp of getting our noses in front, and we just turn around and watch a goal go down the other end. It was just that sort of game. I mean, to put it into another way is look, I've described Richmond, I think, as a good ordinary football side. They're the best of a very ordinary competition at the moment, and that's not denigrating them too much. Oh, no, fuck it, maybe I am. But
that's the competition the AFL has created.
But the harsh reality is this is the Premiers up against the Collingwood, essentially the VFL side, and we pushed them for 3 quarters. And again, it's the fucking injuries that crucified us at the end.
We'll talk about all the injuries later. But in this game, you had Howe going down about 20 minutes to the first quarter, so we had to reshuffle down back.
Yep.
And then Schoenberg went down
just at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah. So he went down. And I mean, once you lose one player, it's universally acknowledged your rotations are compromised. So I think as we were going into the third quarter again, we started looking really tired and all that sort of stuff. We're trying to get matchups right. Greenwood was killing Martin in the middle, but when Martin moved forward, Martin was killing Greenwood. That's why Schoenberg got swapped over to him. Moore was doing, I thought, pretty well on Rewalt.
The old crazy big beluga.
Yeah. He probably would have been on Rewalt if Howe hadn't got injured.
No, I think everything that was planned for was fucked up.
Yeah. And then, sort of guys like Dagos and Callum Brown coming in and out, they did some nice things, they did some ordinary things, but they weren't the only ones who were doing ordinary things. I'm going to special shout out to Chris Mayne. I love the fact that he can hit a pack, stand back up, took a really good mark in defence, really good tackle in the middle, but fuck, I'm sick of the 3-foot handball. Take the fucking game on a little, create something.
This will keep you in the side next week, won't it?
I'm
not taking any risks, coach.
I think it was after that bloody that tackle was a really good tackle, and then you'd think, well, spot someone up down forward, just bomb the shit out, whatever. But instead he just went sideways, or I kicked the sideways, and it's like, oh fucking really? That can't be your only mode of disposal, the little sideways handball, the kick, especially when it's as far, as Spook and I are, to, the teammate you're handballing to. It's like, what benefit has that given anyone?
Well, it's hard to say, but I think Tarkin Lockie has done well taking him under his wing this year.
But Vane, seriously, I respect how he's come back into the side and all that. I like the fact that he's hard at it, But to me, he's really playing like a guy is saying, I don't want to take the game on because I might have a fuck up and they'll hold that against me and drop me. Probably won't happen now because there's no one actually dropping you before.
No, I was about to say, here's a wake-up call, Chris Mayne. There's nobody else to come in.
But, and
take the game on. You're not getting dropped.
He's a lot more proactive at Fremantle. And, I've said this before. I'm not expecting to take the game on every single time. But there's times...
to be nice.
Yeah, there's times they're just like, just go for it. Fuck it. Another thing, too, I actually thought it would have been good. I've said this before. Langdon is such a good mark. I wouldn't mind seeing him being thrown up forward. Cox, I thought, was missed... Oh, sorry. I'm going to put this in two parts. I would have liked to see Cox play on the last line a bit more and to just one out in against Rant. But fucking hell, is there a rule that, you can just scrag him, you can bump him out of the contest, you can bump him off the line, you don't even... I remember once Rant would just sort of stand there going like this, just stopping him from running, and the teammate, Richmond teammate marked him in front. It's like, how many fucking times he was impeded in some way and there was no free kicks given? And that's absurd. If I was Collingwood, I would just be, who it was, Maguire or Buckley.
You'd be a broken crumble of bones.
I am a broken crumble of bones, but whoever it's Buckley or Maguire or whoever, just say, what? We're a little bit tired of the way Mason Cox is getting treated. We saw this happen with 5 years of Travis Clyde. We're not going to fucking let it happen again. We're not going to let you prematurely age this player because he's getting battered by opponents who have the discretion to just do what the fuck they like. Just, if I was Maguire, I would just seriously hire someone to just keep a camera on Cox for a whole game. After that game, cut together a package of the amount of times he's fucking impinged, because it happens so often, and then go to the AFL and say, this is what's happening to him. Either he starts getting treated fairly, or we're releasing this to the fucking press, and it's pretty clear that he's getting...
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I love it, conspiracy theory.
No, but just to actually say, well, fucking, if you're not going to do something about it, then we will release this publicly and embarrass you, and we'll take whatever fine, because we're Collingwood, we'll just fucking pay it off. I'm sick of this sort of let's tiptoe softly around people. He's getting treated like shit, Mason Cox. Any player deserves to be getting treated fairly. As I said, we saw Travis Clyde cop it for 5 years, and that really accelerated his deterioration in the game because his body was just taking his punishment. It didn't deserve to be taken. Whereas you get someone like Nick Rewalt, champion player, but he was rarely, treated that way with the umpires. Umpires, saw him get scowled. That was like, well, it's a free nick. You take it. So I thought we could have done a little bit better there, but once the rotations were compromised...
I've got to say that before we jump off the big man, and that's a big jump.
Yep.
Geez, there was periods of that game where he just was almost single-handedly keeping us in it,
yep.
I thought. He was... Grundy got a lot of plaudits on the weekend, but, Coxie was huge at times, no pun intended. But, no.
Grundy's magnificent.
I think you summed it up as the classic big man's game, and it seriously was. He was fantastic.
Grundy's magnificent, but Cox still actually plays like a ruckman, whereas for me, Grundy plays like a rucker over. That's a really good thing about Grundy. Ball hits the ground. He doesn't do the ruckman, often they take marks or whatever, they just get a little handball, someone else kick it.
Like Chris Mayne.
Yeah. Grundy actually takes the game on, all that sort of shit. But you don't see him regularly taking down big marks and, running into defence and taking the big marks or going up forward and taking a few big marks. Cox is doing that, and that's the sort of traditional ruckman's game. I'd love to see Grundy add that to his game. It probably will happen because he's still a really young player. But, Cox, some of the stuff he did was magnificent. There was one time I remember he went for a mark and he didn't, it bounced off him and the Richmond player took it, but he just slipped him up in the tackle immediately and dragged him down. So that was fucking fantastic. Umpiring, I don't think it really had an influence on the game. But geez, some of the Richmond players are just allowed to throw it or drop it. Speaking of throws, what did you think of apparently the goal of this year?
Well, when you look at it, you've got to admit that it was a clever move. However, I still think it was a throw. Well,
if you look at Darcy Moore immediately runs up and goes as a throw. Gary Lyon and Anthony Hudson, who have no favouritism for Collingwood, the first thing they called was it's a throw. Kevin Bartlett, Richmond legend, called it a throw.
And he knows a lot about the rules.
Yeah. I thought it was a throw. I actually find this goal of the year call pretty funny. It's like, right, okay, it was paid a goal, so it has to be in consideration, but it was really clever the way he threw that ball onto his foot. But in the end, it's a goal from 3 inches away from the fucking goal line. I don't think it's really a difficult goal to kick. What he did to actually get the shot was extremely clever. But it wasn't under a lot of pressure. The ball went over everyone's head. He ran onto it, sort of almost ran over the goal line, threw it back to himself, and from straight in front, from 3 inches from the goal line, kicked the goal. It wasn't a really difficult goal after he did the difficult thing of throwing the ball to himself. Any other thoughts about this Richmond game?
No, I was swallowed in the injury curse yet again. I really, beyond that, don't really recall much other than watching blokes drop like flies.
Well, for me, I was watching it, and I felt like we kept getting back to within the goal, but we couldn't overtake it. And every time we got to within the goal, they got it straight down and got a pretty easy goal in response. What I probably sort of thought about, I don't know, but midway through the third quarter, I was thinking, I don't think we're going to be able to overhaul them. I just don't see where that spark's coming from.
No.
You need, Josh Thomas is having a really special game. A couple of his goals are like goal of the year worthy.
Because he went, dropped the ball into his boot and kicked it.
That one where he sort of grabbed the one-hander off Rance and pulled it down and snapped, that was brilliant.
That was a throw.
Oh, it was a throw, yeah, naturally. That should have been called. I was actually waiting for the umpire to blow the whistle and go, no, it's Rance's mark, take it back. But I was just thinking, we're not going to overhaul him. But I was thinking, Howe's probably concussed, so he should be back next week. I was thinking, so if we can get through this game without anyone getting injured, I'll be happy to, have the 4-goal loss and reset next week and have guys like Elliott of the solo and Aish available and all that. And then it just went to shit.
At this point, we cue the Twilight Zone music.
Yeah, but we'll talk about injuries a bit later. I have actually introduced a new segment without your knowledge.
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to this.
It's called Flog of the Week.
Flog of the Week?
Yeah, it's a Richmond flag.
Do I get a shot?
Yeah, if you go for it, I go for it. A Flog of the Week.
Who's the Flog of the Week this week?
Nick Vlauston.
Yeah.
So, ball goes out of bounds. Him and James Dennison were chasing the ball. And Nick Vlauston, you are such a tough player to get the ball and throw it into an unsuspecting first-year player's crotch. Wow, you must be a really tough guy.
Cods, he means.
And this is like after the last time we played Richmond and Treloar was on the ground and sitting there and Cochin just runs up and pushes him in the back from behind. Two of the most gutless acts I've ever seen. I'm sick of bloody football, this machismo that players try to exhibit. I remember when we played Essendon, before the siren went, Adam Saab was going to Stevenson, he was constantly elbowing him. And for me, it was like, what the fuck are you trying to prove? And then when the siren actually went, Stevenson wiped the floor with you, killed you for the next fucking half an hour. I'm sick of this bullshit machismo of players just, elbowing and all that sort of shit. I understand the psychology of it, but it's just fucking pointless to me. And stuff like when you're actually hitting people from behind, like pushing them over when they're already sitting on the floor or on the grass, or they're just over the boundary, plays dead, and you take the ball and throw it into someone's fucking crotch. Wow! You should be very fucking proud. That was just worthless. Anything you'd like to add?
No, it's just an absolute flat feeling, and it's been flat ever since.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm sure we can get into this in the preview about some of that and where we can motivate, but shit.
Yep. We're not going to have a medium acidic because we're actually going to have a special on injuries. Yay.
Hang on, let me just check if I've got 17 hours of footage available.
Yeah, hopefully. But just something else I'd like to bring back from the old Collingwood rant, which was something called Media Arse Cloud for people in the media who behaved
like an arse cloud.
Yeah.
Clever name.
Anthony Hudson, you're meant to be a professional commentator. Do I need to listen to your fucking bias every time you commentate a Collingwood game? It is becoming sickening. You probably think you're a little bit clever, throwing in these little jives and that. You're probably giggling. It's like, it's not fucking, it's not professional. Commentate the fucking game without the bias. Same to you, Gary Lyon. It's like, geez, what the fuck is going on in the media where you get people who are so obviously prejudiced and doing so poorly at their jobs, and they're fucking allowed to just go on week after week producing the same shit. I'm fucking tired of the media fraternity where we have people who are appalling controlling the airwaves. It really fucking shits me. I mean, of all the people on Channel 7 and Fox, how many people do you actually sort of look forward to hearing from as, an expert or whatever?
Let me think about this. Is the answer none?
I mean, there's a couple. I mean, I like listening to Paul Roos speak. He's really good. He has really good insight into tactics and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the way he coached, but I think he really reads the game well. I do like Brad Johnson, Cameron Mooney, Nick Reel.
He's been good.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of guys that have been there for years, and I just think, seriously, this is the best you've got? Mediocre?
Especially Hutto. I mean, he's got proportionally his head's the size of Casper the Friendly Ghost. You can't look at him and take him seriously.
Seriously.
Let alone listen to him and take him seriously.
Seriously, whenever they show him, he fucking walks around like one of the Thunderbird pilots. He's got he's just terrible.
Come on, they've got a better range of acting.
Well, they actually, contributed to society.
They helped, yes.
It's just fucking hopeless. And, you might notice some swearing, but it's just, I didn't go to the game this week. I actually listened to it, or watched it and listened to it, and I'm thinking...
That was evident.
Yeah. It's like, really, this is the best you can do. And either you're incompetent...
Something about this show, though.
No, I'm brilliant. You're either incompetent and you're prejudiced, or you're trying to be clever.
No. And the show.
No. Anyway, that's it from us, unless you have any final thoughts.
No, as I said, I unfortunately went to the game and haven't watched the replay, so you're speaking from an area of no interest in actually going back and revisiting.
Oh, who would?
No, not me.
Alright, so we'll be right back. So we're back. We don't have media in the Fiddick this week. There wasn't a lot of Collingwood in the media outside of the handful of things we're going to talk about.
It's probably safe to assume that if there was, they just spoke a lot of shit.
Yep. We're going to call this one the Injury Inquisition.
Why not, for want of a better term?
Yep. If we could have a better term.
Because nobody expects an Injury Inquisition.
Yep. So I've printed out Collingwood's injuries. So...
Dear Virginia.
Brody Mychek, ankle out of test.
Ankle had a test.
Yeah, ankle had a test.
Yeah, what did it pass?
Yeah, passed algebra.
How about the concussion he's got?
Mychek had the ankle.
Oh.
How had the concussion?
Oh, how he come unglued?
Yeah. Andy was a rock.
I think we've been inspired by the big dummy at the start.
So Mychek, ankle test. I don't think they've actually revealed anything. How's apparently...
Hang on, are they still breathing?
His ankles.
Oh, I don't care.
How had a concussion.
How?
Yeah, he's apparently being passed. Now, I said this to you before.
He's passed away.
Yeah, no.
He's passed on.
I said this before to you. I'm not going to believe anything they say until I actually see them run out there on whatever day we're playing next week. Saturday night.
Yeah,
until I actually see them run out, I'm not going to believe they're good to go because, we've had too many fucking to go. It was fine until Thursday.
I mean, if they take Howe up in the cargo hold of a plane, that could be a bad sign.
Yeah.
If he's on one of those little trolleys with a wooden box around him, that's probably another bad sign.
Yep. If he's in the 9-1, that would be a bad sign too. Flynn Appleby, hamstring, 2-3 weeks.
That was about 6 months ago.
Yep. So, I mean, a lot of these injuries don't change in terms of the length. They're always like 2-3 weeks away. Jamie Elliott.
I know this one. I remember this guy.
Tragically, he's redone his hamstring, which you'd probably have to say that's the year for him.
You wouldn't think so, would you? Surely it's only a 2 or 3 weeker.
Yeah.
I did see in the news tonight that it's a mild strain, so he's probably dead as well.
It's ridiculous how badly he struggled with soft tissue injuries. I actually don't know what's wrong with these guys. There's nothing on the website, but they're not playing. Rupert Wills and Braden Sire.
So Sire had a calf injury.
Yeah,
I've never heard about Wills getting injured.
So Wills is out. The goalie has
an account.
Yeah, Jordan the goalie has bone stress.
Yeah, we've all got stress, mate.
Yeah. Originally, he was diagnosed as 2 weeks. Triple N.
Is that life expectancy or is that injury recovery?
Yeah, I think it might be life expectancy. Then Triple M said it's meant to be 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, no.
But I don't fucking know. I mean, the one bad thing...
We won't see it for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Tim Watson's complained about this. Why aren't clubs just transparent with their injury prognosis and all that
I think we're pretty transparent in terms of we have no fucking idea.
Ben Reid, knee.
That's a funny one.
Yeah.
Which knee? Any of them? You can take your pick, really, can't you?
Do you even know if it's a knee? With Reid, it might be elbow-related.
Could be an elbow-related knee, cervical issue.
Right, you've got to look at a few of these players.
I'd like to look at a few of these players.
Elliott, Reid, Wells, they're guys who are just constantly breaking down.
They walk into a bar?
Yeah. They're probably not going to get right.
You've got no medical background. How can you possibly say that?
I guess it's on the regularity with which they get injured, They get injured by like every 2 to 3 weeks.
That's the law of averages.
I mean, they actually get rehab just in time for their next injury.
Well, it's important to be prepared for your next breakdown.
Adam Treloar. So, the website had like 6 weeks. But he's trying to get back for the last couple of games.
He's one that I would invest some faith in that he could drag himself back early.
And Treloar is saying he's doing things a lot earlier than
Superman?
Yeah. Well, apparently when you do a hamstring, that's what they say. Well, these are the benchmarks you've got to hit at these times, but apparently he's way ahead of that. So if they could get him on the park...
So we're way ahead as he torn them again.
If they could get him on the park, that would be great. I mean, prior to these hamstrings, he never had issues, but the worry is now...
Jeez, he went out with a bang though, didn't he?
Fuck, he compensated.
Oh, never had a hamstring issue.
Yeah. But you hope that this doesn't have any long-lasting effect on him.
Like he can't walk.
It's just he gets, chronic hamstrings.
You still get 30 possessions crawling on his elbows.
So Goldsack did a knee in the preseason game, and they are saying in a couple of weeks he'll be playing VFL. That's what he's aiming for.
I'll take that.
Yeah, and, love the sack. He would be dearly, appreciated if he could get in.
Well, anyone who can stand upright would be appreciated.
Yeah. Cale Kirby, undisclosed heart condition, season. So I don't know what's happening there, and the club's been really coy about it.
You gotta figure that's the end.
The end of the season, end of the career.
End of the career.
Yeah, that would be really unfortunate if that is, because he showed a lot of promise. Just as an aside, it's interesting they've had a few heart problems throughout the season, not just Collingwood. Robert and Gilda had a heart problem. I think Carlton had 2.
We drafted Stevenson with one.
Oh, he's standing upright.
Head of the game.
But just, I've never seen a heart problem in a game of football for the last 30 years, and then now in 1 year there's 4 plays down.
I've seen lack of heart.
That's why bring Melbourne Football Club into this. Scharenberg, tragically, knee again.
That's fucking sad.
And I will say, after the Carlton win, and they announced that Treloar done both hamstrings and pulled one off the bone, I was just totally gutted. Now I'm just doubly gutted for Paul Scharenberg. I mean, he was really starting to show some of the talent that people said he had. He was starting to really justify that high selection, and you think, geez, just get a good run at it, get through this year, and build on it. And yeah, and the way he did it, like you look at it and you think, geez, that could have just went at any time.
So innocuous. I mean, they often are innocuous, but that's just terrible.
Yep.
3, for fuck's sake.
I know, and Matty Scharenberg, we are wishing you the best. I hope when you do come back, you actually get a really good run at it, and just all this shit is left behind.
I'm going to have to suggest, though, bionics might be an option there.
We have $6 million.
I think we do.
So Broomhead, leg. He broke his leg in round 2, trying to kick a point goalpost.
He was successful.
He was successful. He did that. Daniel Wells did a foot.
I mean, really, with a broken leg, that was season-ending, wasn't it?
They pronounced it, so it must have been a pretty bad break. Yeah. So, broken leg would generally be about... So, it depends how severely he did it.
Yeah. Well, I did see his foot was over a day Eddie had, so it must have been pretty bad.
Well, I broke the leg. I was told originally it was 6 months. So, it was like 3 months to just got to get up and about again, and it'll be another 3 months to rebuild that strength.
So it's back on there.
Yes.
Yep.
Daniel Wells. Foot.
So we're only a third of the way through this list.
Yep. So Daniel Wells, a foot.
Yeah.
Lyndon Dunn, a knee.
Good news though with Wells, I read just earlier that he's looking to play on again next year. That should be entertaining. Make sure you keep your eyelids peeled for that one.
Well, I suggest we name a wing of the rehab after Daniel Wells' rehab wing. Look, honestly, if I was Collingwood, sorry, it's going to be cruel. You should be telling him, we're probably not going to play you if you come out. If you try and play on, you're probably just going to sit in the reserves because we just can't trust that you are going to remain upright. Maybe if you can play 5 weeks in a row in the reserves, if I have an issue, we'll play you. But he's 34 next year. How many 34-year-olds are running around in the AFL?
Not me.
Playing continuous football. Lyndon Dunn, another tragic knee. Yep. Get another
and you feel for him because even if we should still play finals, but he gets to miss out again, and he's probably, he may not even come back.
Well,
he could come back, do 1 game next year, and then say that's enough.
Yeah. Well, the really unfortunate thing for Dunn is he was on the outer at Melbourne, and Collingwood really seemed to pick him up just as break glass in case of emergency. Select Dunn, and I recall when they got him, Buckley was saying he's the most vocal guy on the training track. And he just sat in reserves for the first few games last year. And then once he got in, he never left again. And it was like they realised, shit, this guy is a guy we can build the whole side on. You know, he's very vocal, he's very encouraging, he can charge out of the fence, he's a beautiful kick, and he can keep an opponent quiet. And you look at this year, he was rewarded with being in the leadership group. So he, at his age also, and you know, like I looked at him this year and I was thinking, Melbourne, you must be seriously fucked up if you weren't playing this guy.
But you don't really need to think that.
No, you're probably right. And to finally cement himself in Collingwood, in our best 22, or best 18 really, and then to have that shit injury in such a nothing game, in such a nothing way, again, it's heartbreaking.
It's terrible.
So these guys came back in the VFL. James Aish,
good,
apparently played well, but you know, blew up a little bit, but that's to be expected.
It's his second game back, though, isn't it? It was his
first for all these guys. Facade kicked 3 goals, showed a bit of class and finish.
Good on him.
And Blairy, Jared Blair, he was also back, I believe. So
he was here at the start of the show.
Wasn't that the pilot from Flying High?
He can be whatever you want him to be.
So
and maybe later he can be something special.
And there's a meme going around at the moment which shows...
A meme what?
A meme, an image, which shows all the injured Collingwood players and how they line up in the team. It actually looks like a half-decent team. It would probably beat Carlton at the moment.
Okay, build their injury team.
Yeah. So I'm really, upset that this is the 7th year of Nathan Buckley, and I don't think in a single year that he's coached we haven't had some sort of injury issues.
No.
Now, in the first year, in 2012, when he coached from memory, they had 5 ACLs. I can't remember them all. It was like Cracker, McCaffar, Keith, Luke Ball. I can't remember the last one. Was it Nathan Brown? No. But we had 5. We had all these soft tissue injuries, and that year we also had, say this nicely, a lot of ineptitude in injury management. That's probably not nicely.
It's part of the course.
But, you had things on when they sent Ball back on with an ACL. They sent Jolly on with a punctured lung. They sent Marley on with a dislocated shoulder. They sent Pendlebury on with a broken leg. I remember they picked Tarrant to play against Richmond. He played about 12 seconds and someone said, no, he's not right. So it didn't really seem right on the injury management.
Shouldn't laugh.
No, shouldn't laugh. But it was an atrocious year for injuries, which really makes us only get into a prelim all the more saddening because you think, geez, if they had a full team and they were up and running.
Jeez, if only history might repeat.
Yeah. But anyway, so then the following year they had injuries again, and the next 2 years, and people really shit on Buckley for this, but like the next 2 years, I think we were 8-2, and then we just fell in a massive heap, and then we fell in a massive heap again because we had a lot of injuries. I actually recall in what would have been 2015, about 3/4 of the way through the season, we were actually struggling to field a full side because we had that many injuries. Now, you go to the next 2 years, I think we started both years relatively healthy, but then accumulated the injuries yet again.
This sounds familiar, the story.
Yeah, and this year we...
Stop me if you've heard it before.
Well, but this year we've actually started from pre-season. So you had guys like Sack going down, you had Jamie Elliott having issues.
So you think we're more efficient at them by now?
There is something going on, and they need to examine why they incur so many injuries.
What do you think the common denominator here may be?
Collingwood.
Aside from that, what was built next door to our training venue?
Shit heap.
It's built on a minefield and broken glass and barbed wire and corrugation iron.
The burial ground.
A burial ground. I think we relocated some American Indians from there before building it.
Well, seriously, whether it's the training ground, the training program, the medical staff, there's something...
The baseball bats used as part of training.
There's something going on there. You can't just keep having these fucking things going on.
No, I disagree because I was told that there was a review done and it was all fixed.
Well, if all fixed is having your players constantly breaking out, and some of them will be, you can say some bad luck. Tim Broomhead has nothing to do with whatever's going on. That was just bad luck. Collision with a goalpost.
They pop up all over the time. I dodged through on my way here tonight.
Well, it's surprising that you get anywhere near one. Economy support. Guys like Dunn and Schoenberg who do these, people say, well, that's still an impact injury. No, but I still wonder, if your body's fatigued, is it more susceptible to that happening?
Oh, yeah.
Look, I don't know. I mean, I've said this before, anything that gets wear and tear will become susceptible to breaking. So I tend to believe, look, there's got to be some sort of connection, whether it's just...
Well, not anymore. There's no connection there.
But where it's just the body's so fatigued that when you fall, you don't brace yourself the way you normally would, or your muscles aren't supporting you the way you normally would, and puts more stress on that joint. Because these things keep happening. So what's going on? And you look at a lot of the forums, you look at people commenting on Facebook. There are Collingwood supporters who I knew know as hard cynical as anyone, as fucking Charles Manson, and they're just absolutely gutted and shattered that this has gone on again, but it's happened to someone like Scharenberg, and that we're going into the end of the season where we're sitting in the top 4 and we can barely field a team yet again because we're really scraping. Like Josh Dacos, Callum Brown, they could be really good players in the future, but when you look at guys like Chris Mayne, probably also, you're thinking at the moment, you guys are probably sitting 22 to 25 to 26 in our playlist. We'll bring you in, you'll get a couple of games, we'll help your development, and then we'll probably drop you back down, and we'll bring you back, and it'll be that sort of thing, which is a lot of young players go through, unless you have freakish talent like Jaden Stevenson.
Mm.
And that's just the way cultivation usually goes. Young guys go in and out. Dacos has been forced to play, I don't know, he's got 10 games in a row now, which probably he wasn't budgeted at the beginning of the season.
Definitely not.
And then you get someone like Callum Brown who's thrown into the midfield against the Premiership team, which probably, ideally, you'd say, well, we're not really going to blood any or, go with any real young midfielders against this harder unit because they'll just cop it physically. And then you have other guys who are in the side, like Darcy Moore and Travis Barco, and you think, they're still guys with question marks over him. They're guys, because given what's happened in the last few years, they could actually just go at any moment also. So, I watch games nowadays, another set with this Richmond game, I watch it just when they come out without an injury. I'm actually not even fucking giving it.
I don't think you're on your own there.
No, yeah. And it's like, if Collingwood drop out of the finals, I'd be disappointed. But I'd actually understand it given the amount of injuries that have happened. And I think at some point, surely that's going to affect the psyche, the collective psyche of the club.
Yeah, I guess it's a good sort of time to throw that in. Watching Channel 9 tonight, they were obviously camped outside waiting to get a commentary from Scharenberg, and he said, no, stick it up your jumper, mate, I'm not in the mood, funnily enough.
Well done.
And then Pendle's come out, and Pendle's right off the bat just talked, and he looked flat. He just looked they talked about how gutted they were post the game, and he said, even now they're really struggling to sort of pick themselves up, but they know they have to. There's a game due on the weekend, and you just wonder how far reaching that flatness may be. It's not a great time. Well, it's never a great time for these things to happen, but this is a really bad time because if Sydney are a winnable side, a beatable side at the moment. It'd be terrible to go up there and play Buddy back into form and run around flat. This is something you're going to put it behind them, consolidate, and just get back onto the bike. There's a fucking final series here that it was in your grasp. Don't let it fall.
Well, psychologically, you look at that Richmond game, you think, they lost. Pendlebury said, was quoted in some article saying, I hope we have another shot at them. We showed that some of our best game, really stands up against them.
Oh, definitely it does.
And
it'd be nice to actually hit them with a full solo.
Yeah. But, you look at that and you think, okay, you lose by 4 goals. If you take the injuries out of it at the moment, you lose by 4 goals and you'd be sitting there going, okay, we got within 4 goals. We're only at a puff. How got concussed in the first quarter.
You lose 2 key defenders. There's not many sides that bounce back from that.
But you look at that and you just sort of go, but, we've got these guys in the reserves like Aish and Elliott and Fasolo about to come back. Going into the finals, get these guys back. We'll be a much improved side, both in terms of personnel and just confidence to do this, and we can hit it. But instead, you lose the game. You lose a talented guy like Matthew Scharenberg for the year, and you lose then Jamie Elliott the next day. And it's probably going to be for the year. I'm sure they'll try and bring him back, but it's really.
Which part do you think they'll bring back first?
Well, not the hamstring, but you'd walk from that game and go, well, how the fuck are we meant to do anything when we're constantly running out here and we're just losing people?
You're behind the 8 ball all the time. I mean, and that's really testimony to their resilience and the fortitude that they demonstrate at the moment. They're competitive and still winning games. It's you could have dropped your head several times this year with the run that we've had, and they're still up there and about. I just hope that they can still keep that mindset moving
It was
forward.
a magnificent effort, you know. And I see, I don't know what the best term for me is, maybe Richmond dickheads or supporters going, "Oh, stop blaming injuries." You know, you don't have guys like Treloar and McGowan.
They've never had one for 5 years.
I know, but you take out fucking Martin and Cotchell. Let's see how well you do.
Exactly.
You know, but apparently we're blaming injuries. Everyone is seeing it at the moment. And I just wonder at some point whether the players, even if it's subconsciously, they just drop off like that 5% and go, I don't fucking have it anymore. I just don't have it. Especially if we were to play, say, Sydney, and you've got 4 goals up at half time, and then
a meteorite hits.
Oh, Hoskin Elliott is running back with the fly of the ball, take a mark,
and a meteorite hits him.
Does a hammy. So you just think, well, what the fuck, or whoever it is.
It's the straw that broke the proverbial's back.
Yeah, or Moore does another hammy, or Varco does.
Surely not.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is the next one could be, if it hasn't happened already, it could really just show. And if you look at the reserves, it's great that you had Fasolo back and Aish back, and they should be in the best 18 within a couple of weeks, you'd think.
Well, they could be the only 18 in a couple of weeks.
Sai had the Corky, wasn't it?
It was calf issue, apparently, so he's in intensive care.
Yeah, well, that's probably season, if it's a calf. Wills has a hammy, and he's got a history.
Whose hammy's he got? Could be anyone's.
No one's at Collingwood. He's probably, he's had a chronic issues with hammies, or enough issues with hammies to almost be chronic. At Collingwood, we develop and become chronic. And there's just not a lot more of it to actually reach into the reserves and go, bring this guy in, and let's see how we go. There's guys there that, probably are a year away from playing who might be forced to actually play, like Nathan Murphy, Sam McClarty. And we're probably earmarked to...
Jet Buckley.
Well, he'd be good as Blair up in the forward pocket.
He'd be taller.
But as far as the injuries go, they actually need to work out what's going on. And...
Well, they've been given a number of years.
But have they actually actively looked at it, or they just run around like bad luck?
You'd have to have looked at it. You just can't work out why it keeps happening.
Well, it would really annoy me if all they did was, they said, our fitness guy, well, we're getting all these injuries, so let's just blame the fitness guy, sacked him, replaced him with someone else, but those injuries won't happen anymore.
Well, I mean, you're pointing Hannibal Lecter. He's got the credentials, but still, he's a hungry man.
Get the Farfa beans in there. But I hope they just didn't do that. They just said, we're replacing personnel, it'll fix everything. You actually got to work out what's going on. I'd be very concerned if there was a period there of about 3 years where they had very intensive training without having a lot of injuries, whether that's actually introduced to certain players chronic problems.
I think they've stopped training. It's too risky.
Well, they should probably stop playing too. They should probably just play a stand and kick game like netball. They should just, no one run at all. Actually netball they do have to run, but no one run too much. Because you just keep getting these fucking things happening. Someone needs to work this out. You can't keep going like this. Someone needs to work this out.
I'm going to tell you, it won't be us.
Yeah, well, definitely won't be us, but there should be a review conducted at the end of the year.
Another review? A review of the review?
No, just a review purely on fitness.
What about a player's review? They could sing songs. Then they could fall over on the stage and get injured.
No. They need to actually look at every aspect that contributes to physicality, to fitness, to recovery and all that sort of stuff, and they need to work out where this is breaking down. Because after 7 years, you can't say this is still bad luck.
It's not entertaining for us supporters.
Yes. And
we don't like it.
And, if it is a curse, then you need to fucking get it lifted or whatever. Because there's something definitely going on there that's contributing to a lot of this shit going on.
I think Father Merrin's not doing much these days. We can just get him in for a good old-fashioned exorcism.
Well, what was his name? Poltergeist, the medium.
Medium rare.
That's going to bother me now. Any final thoughts on the injuries?
Oh, fucking over them. No more. I'm done. I'm just not interested in them. I hate... what I really hate is going to games with that sense of trepidation. It's just wondering who's next. It must be like what soldiers go through when they're in combat. Which one of us is going to die today? It's that sense of foreboding when you go to a game, and you're so relieved at the end of it when they come out uninjured, and that's a very rare occurrence these days.
But it doesn't even occur, because we beat North by 11 goals. Darcy Moore was a late withdrawal, but we won last thing. Check the injury reports. No, everything was good. The following week, fucking Sire and the goalie just went. And it was like, well, hang on, now you're getting injuries, delayed shock, delayed concussion. Fucking...
Time to pay the piper every week. And if you miss the payment, he comes and gets you the following
Well,
one.
this is what I said. I mean, I won't believe that anyone is fit until they actually show up.
Oh, I don't believe anyone's fitted.
And the actual, I reckon there's a few players there too, a few senior players, like Jeremy Howe is a really good example. To me, I think it was a late withdrawal once with bone soreness or something like that. But to me,
for the skull.
all over. He looks like someone who probably could do with a week's break, but you can't spell him because there's just no one to bring up.
That's it.
Anyway, that is it from our Injury Inquisition. We'll be back with the match preview against the Swans.
You beauty.
So here we go. Collingwood, Sydney. Over at the SCG, where I don't think Sydney's won a game this year.
That'd be good if they keep that momentum going.
Well, those sort of records have been broken. And who they
I shouldn't use the word broken.
So what are your thoughts with this game? So Schoenberg's out. Who comes in?
Well, you got the Magden, or whatever his name is. He was elevated off the rookie list.
Yep.
He, from the limited amount of viewing I had in the VFL, not that this is a qualifier by any stretch, but he looks like he's big and he moves all right. He may get an opportunity. We may do some shuffling. I really don't know. It's like the well's almost dry. What do you pick out?
Well, you could do something like you bring Silo up, playing the forward line, you send Travis Marco down to halfback to do a hamstring. That's probably what you could do. I don't know how close Nathan Murphy is. Nathan Murphy, they highly rated him in the draft.
He never gets a mention. I mean, I don't even know whether he's ever been named as an emergency or anything.
No, he's been named as an emergency. But, you know...
We've had plenty of emergencies.
But I don't know. I mean, just where they're at, I don't know what they're going to do, because it might just be like, let's throw a Hail Mary and see if this works.
Look, you've got to win a couple more games to be assured of finals. I don't think you take any sort of risk with an unknown at this stage. Although I did throw the Madden up there, but he's the best of the unknowns, I guess.
But it is ultimately going to come to some sort of thing like that, or it's going to come to, like I said, throwing Barco down back.
Can't we build one out of spare parts?
With no spare parts. You look at it and sort of think, well, hang on, we have to reshuffle it. How are we going to do it? And I was actually looking at the four line, thinking, who can you actually afford to send back? And I have no idea.
Well, Mio is the only one, I suppose, that can swing either way.
But then you lose that big body who's complementing Cox up forward. And that's when their forward lines worked well this year, is when they've had Cox and either Miocek or Reed in the 27 minutes he's played from the 4 games he's appeared. I don't really know what else they can do unless they just go totally left field and, just, like I said, bring in Murphy or something like that. Or even throw Pendlebury at a halfback or something and see how that goes. But Pendlebury in the last few weeks has been sublime midfielder. Even though David King said he failed the Richmond audit, he was arguably the best player on the ground. In Barris Cochin.
Barris Cochin?
Yeah.
Is that his brother?
Yeah, I think Cochin was more interested in his hair gel. I don't know how they're going to juggle this team to actually get functioning 18 players out there.
It's going to be a challenge. Well, you look at Sydney too. I mean, they're going to be very buddy-centric, and they usually are. So you're going to have to probably play more on him. He's got the mobility to go
I don't
with him.
Do that,
I just don't think Moore's a good enough defender yet to probably cull the likes of Buddy. Maybe we could triple team him. That's a popular tactic.
I would actually play Chris on Buddy, and Buddy's not known for his overhead marking or anything. I'd play Crisp on him and just say, Crispy, run the fuck off him as much as you can.
Cover the space in front of him.
Yeah, and make him accountable for you. And I'll try and engineer a third man up for Moore and just say to Moore, like, when Crispy's running, you drop back on Buddy. But otherwise, just try and intercept Buddy at all times. I mean, if you look at Rant, who the fuck was he on against us? He's meant to be the best fullback in the league, and he was on, like...
He was scragging Coxie there for a bit.
But he was like on Stevenson and that. So they're always trying to engineer a mismatch for him so they can take advantage of his rebound and shit like that. While other players get, the tougher assignments. So that's what I've been doing with Moore. Just get him loose if you can, and he can provide the rebound. I don't
want him too loose and broken.
I know, it's just shattered. Sydney's been pretty shit.
And that's it.
Last couple of weeks.
They've been in decline, I reckon, now for about 5 or 6 weeks. Lost the 2 gimme games, I guess. relatively badly. They're there for the taking. But the thing is, their stakes are now elevated too because they've dropped out of the 8 this week. So their motivation to get back in would be to smash us. It's going to be... I mean, it really should have been an almost gimme game, but now it's become more of, I suppose, I think it was still the slightly better side, but it's going to be more of a 50-50 proposition. Deny the supply to Buddy, and we're in with a good chance.
Well, I thought after losing the Gold Coast, they would come back really hard.
Yeah, that was shit.
And that was shit. So Sydney's been out for quite a while. At a certain point, that's going to have to...
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I heard today on the radio driving over here that what's his name? Longmire? He's never not made the final since he took over with them. So this is the first year, potentially, that they can drop out and he won't make the finals. I mean, it's been a while.
Well, it happens to all teams, So at a point, it just, whatever, it gets too tiring and all that. So what's your tip?
I would say a hamstring, a quad, a broken collarbone, and a decapitation before the game starts.
That's just for the banner falling down.
Be like the Towering Inferno.
You see Coxie standing. Anyway, but what's your tip for the result?
I think we'll win a close one because we have to win. We just have to win. It's every game from here on has to win. But this is an extra special have to win, I think, because we need some sense of solidity moving into the next couple of weeks to win some games, to be assured of playing finals. And I think this really is the one that you've got to start that going. Because we could drop out of the 8 quite easily after 1 or 2 losses. I mean, results have gone favourably again for us this weekend, so I just think we can not rest the laurels. But I said earlier, I'm worried about what the mental state of the team is going to be this week.
Well, that's the way I'm looking at it. If we play the way we played against Richmond, we play against North, I think we'll win easy. 5-6 goals. But that's the query, is do these guys just go straight back? I actually think massive credit to Scott Pendlebury, because in recent weeks he's really stood up and led that side and led that midfield in the absence of all this other shit going, all these players going wrong, going off and all that sort of stuff. It's like he's just sort of said, fuck, I really got to play above and beyond. And he's done that the last few weeks. But again, how long can anyone do this? And Grundy, also been magnificent. But yeah, I think it really comes down to that mental state. If they're on, I think they'll win easy. If they're not, then I think it could actually get really ugly. It could be that sort of bottoming out game that pretty much every side other than us has had.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's worked for them this year is I think there's been a number of times where we thought maybe this is potentially the shit game, and they've invariably been good. So, I think you see when you look at Richmond, there's a good order inside playing with an intense amount of self-belief at the moment. I don't think our self-belief is completely broken. It's just been shattered. I just hope that they can overcome it. I mean, they're just going to look at it. I mean, they all carry pictures of Shaz in their wallets out in the ground for motivation. I think they've got to use this negative and turn it into a positive somehow and win it for the Gipper.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they really have to have that attitude of it's us against the world and the gods and all that sort of stuff. We will, do what we need to do. But I would understand if they just have that blip.
No, you won't. You'll be angry next week.
I'll be angry, but I'll understand if they have that implosion where it's just like, what, there's been so much shit going on. And since that Carlton game, really, you had Trelaw did with both hammies and Suns had done to his knee and all that. So you've had like a fair few severe injuries since that Carlton game.
Getting dominoes.
Yeah. So I don't understand if that got to him, and I probably wouldn't be as angry as you'd think. Because, as I said, I mean, I'm not making excuses for him, but if they dropped out of the finals race, I'd just be looking and going, it's fucking amazing you got this far with all the shit going on.
I think...
I don't think well, but I'm just saying if that happened.
If you're very honest with yourself, you're stunned we're in the top 4 this year.
Yeah.
I think we all set our sights on making the 8 and being in the bottom half of the 8 is the realistic proposition. But you are where you are. There's still a chance to even solidify second spot.
There was that period where we hit the bottom of the 8, and then I think results fell our way and we won and we entered the top 4. Like people going, oh, well, this is probably going to be a temporary thing. But they've stayed there since that happened.
Like the view up there. It's good looking down on the rest of the competition.
Kudos to the AFL, good fixturing, playing Sydney for the first time now. We haven't played anyone else twice, have we? Like Carlton or
it's a fair and equitable competition.
Yeah, it's a fantastic competition. There's no real, disparity in the way games are scheduled or the fixtures drawn or anything like that. So well done, AFL.
And as much as you laugh at the absurdity of having the floating fixture at the end of the ground when everyone's got a week off afterwards, this year I actually quite like the idea of that break because that's awesome. Another fortnight for whoever's dead that week to resurrect themselves and come good. And I'm thinking of Treloar, that if he's almost there at the end of the season, that's a fucking handy 2-week period there to get going.
Looking at the way the players we have now and just assuming we're not picking any other injuries, which I think...
Why would you assume that?
Yeah, a bit silly.
Why don't you just say when?
Yeah. I think you look at Aish, Fasalo, Blair also, Treloar and Sack. If you get those 5 back into the team, it'll swing the pendulum the other way. But that really...
They are the missing cogs.
Oh, well, I'm Blairy. I had a discussion with a few other people about Blairy and just sort of said, I actually think he's a good role player, but I actually think if you look at 2010, 2011, he's a really selfish type of forward, which is the type of forward you want. You want the guy who's going to say, no, I'll balk a few people and have a shot and that sort of shit. And over the course of his career since then, he's become a lot more unselfish and trying to do team things. And you think, no, go back to being a bit more selfish because you have some pretty good awareness at times. Have your shots, take a guy on, balk someone. I actually think, he can still be a worthwhile contributor given everything that's going on. And the way that forward line is functioning, as long as he doesn't fucking end up at full forward as the leading forward, taking the marks, I think they can still find in the current environment, they can actually find a role for him. But, we'll see what happens.
Well, that hand may well be forced.
Well, let's get caught on a guillotine. Anyway, that is it from us. We'll be back next week, hopefully with good news. Thanks for watching.
Go Woods. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah.